Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we're going to get to know one of our council members a little better. My guest is Billy Hobbs. Welcome, Billy.
Thanks for inviting me.
Should I call you William?
No.
Nobody does.
I would think I owe you money.
All right. Well, let's talk about you a little bit as a person. You grew up in the area, not in Hampton exactly, but in the East End of Newport News?
Right. Grew up in the East End of Newport News, born and raised. Later in life, I moved to Marshall Courts with my mom and my sister. And went to Newport News High School and played a little ball over there and got interested in cars at a young age.
But you had kind of a challenging beginning. I mean, you talk about that a little bit, right? In council meetings and things like that.
Yeah, it was, the one common denominator we all had living in the East End was the majority of us were poor. And I don't mean dirt poor, but we didn't have a lot of things the other kids had. Mm-hmm. At Christmas, you'd get a couple of toys. It was kind of rough. My dad was in and out of our life. My mom was a great role model. She and my older sisters, there were 6 of us. I was the youngest. And 3 of them had married and gone away and had their own households, but 3 of us lived together, and then finally one of the other sisters moved away. So we kind of moved around a little bit, but when my dad was there or wasn't there, he was not the role model you would want for your children. Gotcha. He was not a real good provider, but my mom was a great provider. And I remember the days we would have to go to the local store in East End and get 5 gallons of kerosene and bring it back and put it in the heater so you'd have heat for the next day. And did a lot of things like that. And was a newspaper boy at 11 years old. Made a little bit of money, cut grass until I was about 14, but just to help out a little bit.
So that obviously shaped you and your view of the world to some extent.
Shaped me or twisted me, I'm not sure which one.
Same thing.
Yeah, it helped form my character. And, and I learned at an early age if you were going to get anything, you had to work for it. And part of the team, the whole family, we worked together to do what we had to do and keep things going.
That sounds like a good lesson to learn.
Tough lesson, but it's a good lesson.
Right.
It makes you independent.
Yeah, it does. So, okay, so after high school then, what did you do? You started to tell me you got into cars.
I had a couple of good people got into my life. A local car dealer, C.K. Hutchins, owned Hutchins Chevrolet, and Coach Kahn from Newport News High School.
Oh, I've heard that name.
Yeah, Coach Kahn was a legend. He was one of those guys, he knew my mom. My mom worked in a restaurant downtown, and she worked the night shift. So she worked 11 to 12 o'clock at night, and Mr. Hutchins would eat dinner up there, and Coach Kahn would eat dinner up there. And they got to know my mom, and I started bussing tables for her. And Coach Kahn had seen me around high school, so he kind of took a little ownership of me, and things were different back then. If the coach saw you doing something you weren't supposed to do, he'd get a hold of you. And when I say he got a hold of you, he got a hold of you. And I ran a lot of laps around the track. I got jerked around by my collar a few times, and I deserved it every time. But he kept me straight. And Mr. Hutchins and Coach Kahn got together and decided I needed a regular job, not just helping my mom in the restaurant, but working on cars. So at 15 years old, they took me to Hutchins Chevrolet, and they made me a lot attendant. And I got to drive these new cars and clean these new cars, and I fell in love with cars. Oh. And I was good at it. It was something, I took a transmission apart when I was 17. We were getting ready to deliver a new car, and the transmission wasn't shifting, and of course we had no sale. So I was back in the shop, and I said, let me take a look at it. I'd watched some of the technicians when I was helping them during the day do some things to it, and I took the modulator out, cleaned it out, put it back in, and thank goodness it worked.
Oh, wow.
We sold the car. So I got them on the road. So, and I was the type of person that if I could take it apart and look at it for a while, I could put it back together, fix it, make it work. And I understood that.
That's amazing skill. That really is. That's like people who can hear a song and play it, you know? Figuring out those mechanics, that takes a certain kind of definitely skill. Hard work to get better at it, but you've got to have that aptitude.
You got to be a puzzle guy. You got to like fixing things. So, and that's kind of carried through my whole life. So I kind of like in the family, I'm the fixer. It's something goes wrong, and you know when you're sitting at the dinner table and something's wrong, and everybody in the family looks at you.
You know your role.
I got to take this. I got to get this thing fixed. So.
All right. So you've stayed in cars too, right?
All my life.
More in sales now. You don't take them apart very much.
No, I don't take them apart at all.
Even your own.
But I do get if there's a problem car, I've still got it in me that I'll take the car and drive it for a while until I can figure out what's wrong with it, or at least get a technician in the right area so he knows what he's got to fix. And,
all right.
And I'm kind of a pain in the neck until I get it fixed. So I stay on them.
So how did you become a good salesman? Because I hear you are one of the best.
I don't know about that. It's just, a good salesman. I look to people like Joe Spencer in our community. Joe was a great leader. He was a good salesman. He would take an idea that maybe wasn't really going down real good, and he would look at it and analyze it, fix it up a little bit, and then he would represent it to the person that didn't like the idea. And he would present it in such a way that he showed the good things. And I'm a positive guy too, like Joe, so you show the good things about a car and you sell the sizzle.
Gotcha. Okay, so how does that, okay, this is where I'm going to ask then. So does that lead you to city council? Is that how you got to wanting to be a part of the city council?
Absolutely. It's I didn't realize what was happening years ago when I was working for Lewis Wood. I got upset about something that we were trying to do and the city wasn't letting us do it. And Mr. Wood introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Hardy Cash.
We all know Hardy.
Oh, Hardy, it's in fact, I owe Hardy a phone call right now. Hardy, we were trying to get a sign ordinance passed, and he took the time to explain to me how the ordinance was put together, what I would have to do to be successful in getting this sign ordinance through. And I did it, went through all the steps, which I thought at the time were just useless, but went through Coliseum Central Business Improvement District, their design review board, got things passed there, went back to the city, and I didn't know later on in life I'd become a commissioner on the Board of Zoning Appeals, went for a zoning appeal, and I won the appeal. We got the sign, but we kind of lost in a way because it cost us $29,000 to win. And
just the process, not the cost of the sign.
No, that was the cost of the sign, not counting the process. So we had to spend $29,000 to get the sign erected, and it was one of the ugliest signs you've ever seen in your life. It was for a particular brand we had, and the manufacturer said, you got to have it, and we got it. But then I got involved with the Coliseum Central. Lewis Wood was pretty smart. He said, if you want to fix things, you got to be involved and know what makes them tick. Going back to fixing the transmission. So I got involved and worked through all the committees there at Coliseum Central, and just saw we had a lot of things that I thought I could put a good positive spin on, and we fixed them. And I loved working in the marketing committee. I loved the beautification committee. And what I really liked was the security committee, because we had a bit of a perception in Coliseum Central back then. And I rode with the police and who were in the area. We came up with a couple of programs. They weren't my ideas, but I was able to help out with them, where we actually hired the police department to be our security force. And we got some of the hotels to do it. And, it's not rocket science. You put enough feet on the street, and sooner or later, the bad guys go away. They don't like the light of day.
That's right. That's right. Okay, well then that's going to transition us then into issues now. I mean, you've dealt with the issues for Coliseum Central. Now, what issues for the city do you think are either most important or just personally important to you because you bring more to the table to those issues?
Well, what I love right now, we had a council session, real good council session. You were there, where we kind of split up the city a little bit. And at first I was sitting there and I was thinking, well, surely they're going to give me police and fire because
you have a real tie there. I'm not sure what it is, but every now and then.
These guys are great. I mean, they let me ride with them. If there's a problem, if you want to find out about what's going on.
Kids you went to school with, or have you just done this as a grown-up? You've had this?
Well, actually, I went to school with a lot of the police officers in Newport News, and I grew up playing ball with a lot of the police officers in Hampton and a lot of firemen. And we just kind of knew each other and got to be friends. And I found out that if you really want to find out what's going on, you ride with a policeman or a fireman and spend some time with them, and you really see what's happening in your city. So spend some time with them. Did some things, learned some things, started moving on up the ladder a little bit. And I did so much with Coliseum Central, getting it safe and secure, doing all those things. I just started to realize that it wasn't that big a deal. It was just fixing things there.
Just fixing things.
Just fixing things. That's what you do. You fix things.
Okay, so I interrupted you. With the strategic meeting, you thought that they were going to peg you into public safety.
Didn't work. We were sitting there, and everybody was getting it, and they came up with police and fire. and they gave it to somebody else, 2 other people, which very qualified. And I was kind of sitting there waiting, and it got down to economic development and business improvement districts. Well, it's kind of near and dear to my heart, and same thing again. It's economic development. It's about making deals, selling the city of Hampton, which is not hard to do for some of us, and letting people know, that we're here to help them. Business improvement districts, Coliseum Central, same thing there. You help the merchants be successful, the city of Hampton will be successful. We generate about 62% of the sales tax dollars out of Coliseum Central. If we take that model and move it to Phoebus, to downtown, to the Magruder corridor, we can do the same thing and take a little bit of burden off the real estate taxes. I pay those taxes like everybody else. Yeah,
the homeowners out there will be happy to hear that, because I think that is, the success that happened in Coliseum Central, the sort of turnaround after it was the mall, and then newer malls began being built elsewhere, and improvements didn't happen here, and we saw the tax decline. I mean, it hurt the city budget. It hurt homeowners, because if you're not getting those retail tax dollars, you've got to get them from somewhere to operate the police and fire and all the other schools and all the other things we do. So, okay, so one of your goals then is going to be to get the business community to be its own leadership group.
Exactly.
And strengthen that.
Exactly. And we just started working with the Magruder, I still call it Magruder corridor, the Hampton Roads Center people.
Right.
And they realized the benefit of co-opting their resources so they can market the area, they can keep it safe and secure, or clean and green, whatever you want to call it, and tell their story. That's what we need to do. We've got some beautiful parts of the city. Phoebus, I was in Phoebus last night, stayed there kind of late, working with some young men that really have some great ideas for Phoebus. They want to make Phoebus just take off. And Phoebus is such a jewel. I've had a strong relationship with Phoebus since I was about 18 years old, and I want to see Phoebus be all it can be. They've got good people down there, good merchants, and those people are prime and ready to get something going. Same thing with the Downtown Development Partnership. We've got good people down there, and I met with Dr. Steele just a couple weeks ago. If you want to meet with me, the only way you can really get me is either 7 o'clock in the morning, I'll buy you a breakfast, or after 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. You can tell me coffee.
Okay.
I'll meet you at Starbucks. We can share ideas, and I'm excited about being able to work with the downtown bid and get some things going down there. They've got a good leader down there. They've got good people down there. And I think we just need to share some of the ideas that we've had from other parts of the city with them downtown, with the people in Phoebus. We move it to Buck Road, we get things going. And pretty soon we're generating sales tax dollars, not property tax dollars.
And that's what's so great about them, is partly those dollars come from other people. They come from people who come to those areas to shop. But partly, if I'm going to go out and buy myself a new pair of shoes, I might as well do it in Hampton, so Hampton gets the revenue instead of doing it in Norfolk or Newport News or anywhere else to fund their police and fire departments. Let's fund ours first if we can.
Absolutely.
And then move on. Okay, so business development, economic development, what are your other interests or issues?
Our city manager came back from a series of seminars that she came in one of our meetings, and she was talking about making Hampton a fun place. Now, Hampton is a fun place for me and my family because we make it fun. We try to do everything in Hampton. We try to buy our clothes in Hampton. We try to go out to dinner in Hampton and have fun. And there are lots of things to do. We've got great resources. We've got 161 miles of shore. We've got a lot of ocean and sand, or water and sand here. We want to make it really fun. We've got some really neat ideas. And Mary Bunning came back with one idea that I think is great. And it's an idea that it really won't cost the city of Hampton citizens a whole lot of money. We've got a co-author that, not to spill the beans, but the date's been released. We're going to have a huge slip and slide downtown. It's going to be a slide. It's going to start on the top of the bridge downtown, and it's going to go 650 feet down to a retention pond in front of the Crown Plaza Hotel.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And it's going to bring people to Hampton. And when those people come to Hampton, they're going to want to eat because we've got great food here and great food downtown.
Yep.
They may want to shop. They may want to stop in Benton Knights and buy a suit.
They might want to spend the night so they don't have to drive home. They can play.
That's right. We can have some fun downtown. People downtown can benefit from it. They can ride our carousel. They can go to our Virginia Air and Space Center. They can see our seafood market downtown, what we're doing down there. They can just enjoy Hampton. Once they come to Hampton, they're going to fall in love with us. They've got to. We're a pretty neat place to live. So we've got things like that planned. I'm talking to another co-author now about something kind of crazy. I put it on Facebook to try to get some kind of reaction for the citizens, what they would go for. And I think it's a great idea. I've talked to the new owner of Peninsula Town Center about this idea. He likes it, and he says, we'll make it happen. I've talked to the promoter at Langley Speedway, Bill Mullis, and it's an idea involving vehicles, and it's kind of up my alley, and he likes it too.
Oh, yeah, anything with cars. Well, we'll stay tuned to find out what that's going to be.
I think it'll be great.
Are there any other issues you want to bring up before we close?
You know, the big issues right now that I spend a lot of time, like I was saying, with policemen, firemen, and school teachers. And when it comes down to it, in my world, they're the three legs to the stool we stand on. We've got to keep the policemen healthy and strong. We've got to take care of them properly. Our firemen, our school teachers. If you go in a classroom and you see what a school teacher does on a daily basis, and these little minds are shaping, and when I think about me, if it wasn't for a school teacher getting involved in my life, I would not have been in the car business. I would not have had the training I received. I was able, through the University of Automotive Management, to get marketing, accounting, and operations training. It took me a few years to do it, but I finally got it. Almost killed me, but they wouldn't let me go. They just said, you got to do it. That's the way you got to do it, and we're going to teach you how to do it. So I learned all that. So a teacher got me involved in that with a businessman. So I've got those two loves there. But you see what our teachers are doing. I want to make life better for them. We were at a meeting the other night, and we've got some issues. We're going to work on them. We've got good people out there teaching our children.
Yeah, we really do.
When you ride with a fireman and you're on an ambulance call, and when you see the things that our young people do, I remember a night a year or so ago in Buckrow, we had a shooting, and I was riding with the battalion chief and Robert A. Berlisky, and this is a go-get-'em type of guy. He is, if Captain Berlisky's on the scene, something's going to happen. Phoebus is attending the victim. I'm watching two of our young people work on this guy's chest while he's bleeding, and I mean, he was in a life-threatening situation. And these young people couldn't have been more than 22, 23 years old. And with the chief on the scene that was in charge and the two young people working on him, they saved the man's life.
Wow.
So how do you not do something for a fireman like that? And I got to tell you, if my house is on fire, I'm calling the Hampton Fire Department because they are the best anywhere. They're the best. Same thing with our police officers. They deserve everything they can get. They do a good job. They handle terrible situations. Excuse me, riding with the police department, I've gotten a good education. I know what kind of problems they're facing with our young people, what kind of issues that they're dealing with. So impressed there again too, it's been maybe a year and a half ago. I watched our police department coordinate an effort with several other police agencies, and they handled a very serious situation, a gang situation, and they handled it in a great way that they resolved the situation without bloodshed, without drawing a gun, without arresting. They resolved the situation.
Wow, that's an important skill. It takes a lot of training and practice.
And they're good at it. And they practice all the time. I think they're on the street 2 days a week or 3 days a week, and they're practicing and training 2 days a week, just like our firemen, just like our teachers. So those are the three areas that I would like to see us help them quite a bit. And I think we will. We've got good people.
Okay, well, that sounds great. Thank you. We're going to wrap up now, but I appreciate you coming by, and I hope people have had a chance to understand your thinking and your background and feel like they know you a little better. And I feel sure that they'll call you.
I hope so.
Or find you out about town, because I know you're out a lot.
We are out quite a bit. My wife doesn't cook at home a whole lot anymore.
All right, thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed and you feel like you know Billy Hobbs a little bit better, and our council members, you're better acquainted with them. Thank you.